Okay, good morning, everyone. So this morning's communion message, I'm going to be reading from the book of Leviticus, Leviticus 26, verse 3 to 13. If you walk in my statutes and obey my commandments and do them, then I will give you your rains in the season, and the land shall yield its increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall last to the time of the grape harvest, and the grape harvest shall last to the time for the sowing. And you shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land securely. I will give peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will remove harmful beasts from the land, and the sword shall not go through your land. You shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 10,000, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. I will turn to you and make you fruitful and multiply you, and will confirm my covenant with you. You shall eat old stores long kept, and you shall clear out the old and make way for the new. I will make my dwelling among you, and my soul should not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, so that you should not be their slaves. And I have broken the bars of your yoke and made you walk erect. So you might be thinking, why an Old Testament verse for a communion message? Reading from the book of Leviticus, there's a lot going on before, there's a lot going on during, there's a lot going on after. The actual name of the verse is living in obedience, and thereafter is a living in disobedience verse, but for another time. But what I wanted to focus on this morning is the words. These words create such an incredible picture of God's promises for us in every situation we find ourselves in. He goes before us each day in each task or challenge that we face. We read these words and we know that if we commit ourselves to the word and walk in his ways, we will be an effective people in his kingdom. The words say in verse 4, I will give you your rains in their season, and the land shall yield its increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. This is such a beautiful picture of the bride of Christ prospering, the promises that Christ has for us in our lives. It goes on to say, he goes before us and gives us protection. In verse 6, I will give you peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. I will remove harmful beasts from the land, and the sword shall not go through your land. You shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. We know that in the Old Testament, the sword is a formidable weapon. It's the weapon of choice to wage war. It's the weapon of choice for death. We know that when the enemies came with swords drawn, sword in hand, to seek and destroy, people were fearful. But our Father in heaven says, I will not let the sword enter your land. To live in peace is to live with Christ within you. And this is a proof that we truly do serve a powerful God. We really do. We could look at each of these verses and reflect on how they are relevant to us today. These Old Testament words are as true today for us as they were back then. The only thing is that today we can receive these promises far easier. Jesus came before us. Jesus died on the cross for all of us so that we can receive these promises, so that we can receive the kingdom of heaven. Reflect on the promises that have come true in your lives. Seek his face in the challenges in your journeys, and trust for those promises that he has for you to come true. Lay your needs and let go of your anxieties at the feet of Jesus Christ before the cross, so that you can receive these promises. So in closing, where you are, just close your eyes and maybe just spend a few moments. Take your emblems in your own time and reflect on those promises. Promises that have been spoken over each and every single one of you. Promises that God has for you.
Thank you, Glen. Pass your glasses to the end of the row. God's got good things in store for you, Glen. Good things in store, mate.